Hey, welcome to Blessed Mess. This is a internet channel that we're kickstarting today, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that I've been selling on eBay. I do a lot of books, and I wanted to give y'all some quick tips about going and shopping for books. One thing that I always look for whenever I'm at Goodwill or any place like that is it's in this red and white gingham cover. You always want to look for this. Stand back from the books and look for this cover. It doesn't matter if it's the new cookbook. And the new cookbook is from 1981. These are usually about 30 bucks. You can find them from the 70s or the 60s or the 80s, the early 80s. They're really kind of cool and retro. And lots of people like to have them in their kitchen. So look for these first. Look for that cover. Go over and grab it. And if it's in decent shape, this one's in excellent shape, pick it up. Even if it's $5, pick it up. But usually you can find these for just a couple of dollars. Better Homes and Garden, new cookbook, or just the cookbook. The other thing that I look for whenever I'm going to Goodwill is I look for people's autobiographies or biographies. The reason I do that is the very first thing I do whenever I see something like that, and we're in southern Kentucky. We're about 70 miles from Knoxville. So what I do is I look inside and I find an autograph. Can you see the autograph? Yeah. So you can see the autograph. Bill Bates signed it. He put the number 40. That was his number when he played for the Cowboys. So I found an autographed book. It was $1, and I found an autographed book. I do the same thing whenever I found a book like Rudy Giuliani. I just found this the other day. Still again, I open it up, and there's an autograph. An autograph again. Goodwill, $1. Still yet again, go to a Goodwill. Look for autobiography. I just picked this up maybe a couple of months ago, right when all the COVID stuff was really hard and heavy in the summer. And I went to, Goodwill was open in our area, and I looked at it, and there's Al Roker's signature with a little sunshine. It's not made out to anybody. Generally, the ones that are not made out to anybody are a little bit more valuable. And Al Roker, he signs a lot of stuff, so his is probably not as valuable. I can't remember what I got this listed for, but great pickup for $1. You can sell it for like $20. That's a great pickup. So all three of those was just me seeing it, Al Roker, opening it up to the title page, boom. That's a real signature with a Sharpie. And then if you go on eBay and you're curious, you can go and look and see, oh, is that just something that everybody puts in there and just puts in a signature, and it's like a machine printed signature? Well, that's not the case. That's him signing it. The other thing that I look for are historical books. Nowadays, historical books are getting harder and harder to come by. You can't find everything on Google, believe it or not. And so I look for historical books. This is Napoleon's letters to Marie Louise. I got this for $1 at a Goodwill. There was a big sale. This was, this was back in the fall, wasn't it, honey? So we got this back in the fall. It was in Ohio. And of course, whenever I get this, it has a desk jacket, but this book is from 1940. So it's a great book. It's about a $55 book. Found it on the shelf for $1. But I look for historical books. Maybe not, Napoleon, maybe not the greatest person in the world, but I still found that. Same thing with the story of the Confederacy. You don't find a lot of stuff about the Confederacy around anymore. This is literally about some of the battles, and it has some Confederate generals that are in it. I have not listed this book yet. We just found this. I found this back in the fall, and I just didn't list it. it was in a box. And this is about a $40 book in this condition. But this book, I believe it's from 1931. So, yeah, 1931. Printed in the U.S., 1931 book. What I do is I look for the outside cover of it, and it looks pretty old. I saw Confederacy on it. Thought this is a historical book. Yeah, it was great to see a historical book. You can also tell by the edges of the book how I don't know what the term for this is. Given that I'm a literature major, I still don't know what the terms of this is, but that's something you should look for on older books. It would have a different color on the top, and it has that unevenness there. But 1931, Story of the Confederacy. Some new books that might be historical in nature might be something like from Savannah, Georgia. This is about ghost towns and African voodoo, and it's kind of just a kitschy, fun book. Got this for got this for $1, and it's probably a $12 book, but it's just a fun read. It's got lots of cool stories in it. It talks about houses in Savannah, Georgia. So the other thing that I look for are historical biographies that may not be they're not going to be signed. I mean, even this one might not be signed by George Plimpton, who wrote the book. If it was, it would be great. It'd be a $100 book. But this is another book that when it came out, it was a $35 book. It's going to retain its value because Truman Capote is such a compelling figure, and George Plimpton is a great writer, and so it's got great photos in it. But it was something that Laura, my wife, saw that and, oh yeah, that'd be good. So this is what we thought about a $35 book, $35 to $40 book, easy. A few sales on that. You can find some books that are going to be the same thing, like Reagan's Revolution or something about the Kennedys. This is Rose Kennedy. It's got a picture of her and JFK on the back. But Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, this is another book that, this book is called Times to Remember. And I always go to the inside to see what year it was written. It was written in 1974. So, and it's got lots of great pictures in it. This is not a super valuable book. You're starting to look at the difference between a book like this and another historical book like the Story of the Confederacy or Napoleon's Letters. Is this was written in the 70s, has a dust cover, not a great dust cover. I'll probably just sell this for like $10. But if someone was wanting to research the Kennedys in any way, this is a great book to do that. If someone was wanting to research. So I buy some of these books for people that want to research a subject, and these books are no longer in print. You can't find them in the library, can't find them on Audible, you can't find them on Google, you can't find them. So this would be something that somebody was going to be researching the Kennedys. They may pick a story out of this or do that. So that's one reason that I pick like the Kennedys or this Truman Capote, or things like that. Or Reagan's Revolution might be the same thing. Lots of great pictures. It talks about the people that wrote the speech. I have the dust cover for this, but just wanted to show you, like, this is something that you could find at a Goodwill also. Now, the other thing that I think you should be on the lookout for, poetry books. You want to try to find poetry books. And like I said, I was English major in college, so some things like this Rod McEwen book, it's a poetry book. And you can see, I love to go ahead and pick up poetry books because some people may have may like something that a person sings, or if they're a songwriter. And I believe Rod McEwen is a songwriter also, but he's written a few of these books, a few poetry books, and this book is This book is called Celebrations of the Heart. It's a Simon & Schuster book from 1975. So this is it's cool to be able to pick up these, a poetry book. Another poetry book that I picked up was Lee Pennington. This is what Lee Pennington looks like, chopping or pumping a well, looks like, a dry well. And, but this is nominated for a Pulitzer Prize, and I think it's 1977. It is 1977. Lee Pennington, I believe, was a professor at University of Kentucky. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. And if it is the case, I think I have some pictures of this person, like regular pictures of this person also. But this is a book that I picked up for $1.25, and it's a good buy. Poetry books are good buys. Another poetry book, Joyce Kilmer. This is about a $50 book, and it's in good shape. It has a dust cover. I've just tucked it inside of it. This is all of the volume. These are both of the volumes of his work, and this book is from 1918. You can kind of see his, these are all his poems, essays, and letters. This is what he looked like in 1930. And this is what he looked like in 1930. And they have some great pictures of him when he was like 5 years old in here. And I guess see if I can find his most famous poem. The most famous poem that he has is called Trees. I think that I should oversee a poem as lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. That's his most famous. I think every little school kid in the 30s and 40s learned that, and that's in here. And I believe he wrote it for his teacher, if I remember right. So a lot of his poems are dedicated to people, but the dust cover is not great. It's basically just saved in here. But still, this Joyce Kilmer book is relatively valuable because of the age of it. It's from 1918. So look for poetry books. Okay. On top of that, I do a few other things that are kind of a little bit different. I got this for $0.25 at a Goodwill. They were having a sale on all their books. This is a Japanese to English translator. It's in awesome shape. I don't even know if anybody even opened this. They may have been given it as a gift. And now here I'm looking at a Japanese book for the date, 1986. And so Japanese to English, and it's still in its cardboard. I love that it was in its cardboard and it had a little steamship and it has little people on it. Thought it was just cool looking. Some people might just put this on a desk if you're Japanese heritage, or you just like the look of it, or you went to Japan. I just thought it was a cool book. What did we list this for? $18.50, $22.50, I think. Got it for $0.25. That's something I always look for, are these, not necessarily like Spanish but like Italian or Japanese or something like that. I'll pick those up. Another thing that I do a lot is I buy audiobooks, sealed audiobooks, especially biblical or religious items. This is cassette tapes. It's still sealed in the package. I haven't even listed this yet. And we got this at like a yard sale, I think. And it couldn't have cost very much, maybe 50 cents or something. and it's still sealed. It's Nelson Audio Library. It's the New Testament on 12 audio cassettes. Great thing to pick up if it's still sealed like that. I get lots of sealed stuff that are DVDs that are like the Bible on DVD, or pardon me, the Bible on CDs, the New Testament on CDs, stuff like that. You can hear our cuckoo clock. Another thing that I get, that I pick up, are religious books, especially like encyclopedias. This thing's probably like 5 pounds. This is a set. This is something that came in a set. Got this for $1. Tonight we picked this up. It comes in 4 volumes. This is volume number 4. A set of these are about $100, between $60, $80, $100 for a set of 4 of them. If somebody needed the last one, here it is. The great thing about eBay is it's like a search engine. So people that need this volume, they'll look it up, and more than willing to, since I have this, if I see any more, maybe I'll pick those up. But normally I just list them right straight away and they sell. I don't even get a chance to collect them. Another religious book and this is new, it's probably from the 90s or something. This is, you can't even read. This is another one that I got for $1 that I picked up with the rest of these guys. Can you see these? All of these and this were all at Goodwill, and I picked them up all at the same time. They were all over the different shelves, but I picked them up all at the same time. And this one's called The Life and Letters of St. Paul. It's been written in, you know, it's got water damage on the cover. You can see water damage right here. Water damage on the back. It had a dust cover at one time. This book is, I believe, from 1919. So I believe that's the date. The person that had this book before was a reverend, and he passed away several years ago, and this just ended up at Goodwill. And it's got his notes in some of it. It's got fantastic maps like you would see in an old school Bible of Paul's travels with the red, if you can see it. It's got a few maps in here just like that. It's got wonderful commentary. This past weekend I was reading about Philippi. Here's another map. Ancient trade routes to Palestine. It's just really cool. Some of the it talks about the Book of Acts. You can see he wrote in here. He probably used this to do some of his sermons. Life and Letters of St. Paul. And also, I look these up on eBay most of the time. When I did this one, when I picked up all these books, I just saw the books, the bindings, just like you see them right now, and I was like, those are old. I think that other book, is it Pulse of Democracy in here? Yeah. There's another book that was in that list. It was in here too. I have a couple more that we've already listed and put on eBay or sold them already. But we listed some of these guys. I bought these less than 5 days ago. So anyway, Life and Letters of St. Paul. I thought, wow, that's awesome. I'm a Christian, so I'm going to read this book anyway. I'm going to look at it and use it in a Bible study. I'm going to look at it that way. I didn't really care too much about the cost of this book. So I didn't even look it up on eBay. And then it was the first book that I found. And then I started looking, and I started saying to myself, like, I think the next one that I saw was this book, The Great Meadow. And you can just see how worn the the side of it is. And you can see the uneven pages. So just looking at it, and it's got that gold. Can you see that gold embossment? You know, like it's got gold embosses. Elizabeth Maddox Roberts, The Great Meadow. This is like one of the most you know, if this was Oprah's book club of 1919 or whatever, this would be in it. This is one that Eleanor Roosevelt like had, and she said every girl should read The Meadow or whatever. So so this is about the Wilderness Road of Kentucky, and they say Kentuck in here, but this is from 1930. So I misspoke about 1919, but you get my drift. If it would have been, this would have been the little novel that everybody would have just read, and it was like a little traveling book. And so that's the first thing I saw. This is a $12, $15 book for $1. Two other books that are kind of in that same mode of a teenage girl would have probably read these. Beverly Gray, Betty Wales, that's the more attractive looking one. This one's got that same kind of interesting interior, and it's made out for someone for their birthday in 1935. And this is just about, I guess this is like a college, this is kind of like Nancy Drew kind of stuff. Like there's like a mystery. These are mystery books, but they're in college. So here's one that was, here she is as a sophomore, it's another person, and they have one as a junior and one as a senior. I don't have those, but that's what these are. These are $12 to $15 books for $1. I mean, if I can make $10, I do it. And shipping books is cheap and easy. Now, and same thing here, While the Patient Slept is another like kind of, this is probably from the 40s. Pardon me, reprinted 1945. It's a 1930 book. So it's another one of those kind of books that's kind of just like a fun summer reading book. But the real payoff was, I picked up all these books, didn't look them up. I just saw them, got them. This one did the same thing, Boy Scouts in the Wilderness. It might have been the second book that I saw after that really, The Meadow. I recognized The Great Meadow. But this Boy Scouts in the Wilderness, I was like, Samuel Scoville Jr., okay, that's crazy. And then I looked in it, and it's old. It's from like 1919. It's only got 4 illustrations in it, and the illustrations are really interesting. And it's like an adventure book. This book from 1919, first printing, in this shape. There's no dust cover or anything. You can still read everything. This book is easily a $200 book. And I got it for $2 at the Goodwill. So for $2 at the Goodwill, this is what I got. Also, after I saw this, now I saw this and I thought this was probably the most interesting one because it was so old. The illustrations were really interesting that were in it. It looked like a really high quality book. And so I was really interested in this. I didn't even pull out my phone and check and see how much it was. But the next thing that I looked at was this book called The Pulse of Democracy. And it's from George Gallup. So, you know, the Gallup opinion poll. So the Gallup poll, this is The Pulse of Democracy. This is a book that he wrote in 1940. And it's signed by George Gallup, September 30th, 1940. I found this book in a Goodwill for $2 in tiny Williamsburg, Kentucky. That is a find. This is a $300 plus book. Like, this is a find. Pulse of Democracy. So the thing is, as I saw it, and I flip it open to the main page, just like I did just now. I pick, oh, George Gallup, that's cool. Like, I'm definitely getting this for $2. And then I go like this, and it's signed here. Normally, people would sign here, or maybe on the title page, or that kind of thing. They normally would sign here, or maybe before it, but he signs right here. So I don't know who James Slater is, but it says, to James Slater, with my regards, George Gallup, September 30th, 1940. Now, George Gallup, he doesn't sign very many things from what I understand. So, you know, just an autographed picture of him is like $600 on eBay. So we're going to list this book. I think we listed it for $325. I think that's the price that we put on there. I'm open to offers, but wow. And the book is really good. I mean, it talks about opinion polls and how things work and how elections work. It's so timely right now about how elections and polls work. And anybody that's interested in politics would be really interested in this pulse of democracy. And you can find these books, but not with George Gallup's signature in it. So the thing that I do whenever I go to Goodwill is I look for older books. Anything that's over 1950. You know, it might have a dust cover, it may not. But I try to look for things that are older than 1950. I always look for that cookbook with the red and white checks. Every single time I walk in, I scan for that. It's got to be the thick one. There are some little thin ones. They're not worth anything. You want to find the big thick ones that say New Cookbook or Better Homes and Garden Cookbook. I pick those up first. I get them in my hand. Then I start looking for older books, especially spines. You don't even have to be able to read them. If it looks like that on the shelf, you know, if it looks like that on the shelf, I pick it up. Who knows what's in it?